Chinese President Xi Jinping's current state visit to Malaysia marks his first trip to the country since 2013. Joining me now is Zhao Yunfei, a reporter with CGTN, who's also part of the delegation with President Xi. Yunfei, thank you for joining us in the studio and taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you for having me, Faye.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, talking about President Xi Jinping, his visit comes shortly after the celebration of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Malaysia and China, and that was last year. What would you say is the significance of this round's visit for China's relationship with Malaysia and ASEAN as a whole?
I think 50 is a great number, and this time President Xi is taking the opportunity to say that he's looking forward to the next golden 50 years. So certainly we're marking the first 5 decades and then coming up to the next 5 decades. But what makes this trip really unique for the Chinese president is also probably because of the role of Malaysia, given the fact that Malaysia is the chair of ASEAN this year. So certainly when the Chinese president making a visit here to Malaysia is not just the opportunity for boosting bilateral ties between singly the two countries, but also the ties between China and ASEAN.
And now that's looking at the regional bloc as a whole, but if we're looking at just Malaysia and China for now, China, of course, has been Malaysia's largest trading partner for over a decade. And when we're looking at current global economic uncertainties, how would you say this trade relationship is being strengthened or made more resilient for the future?
Well, there's many potential, given the fact that the year of 2024, last year, the trading volume was 212 billion US dollars. That's a record high. It's not just 6 consecutive years being as top trading partner as Malaysia, but also the way how it keep consistent. And there are so many more fields of cooperation. I was watching just now there was a signing agreement between the two countries. The two leaders, President Xi and Prime Minister Anwar, witnessed the signing. I do a rough count. It was 30 documents, and all the documents are very detailed. It not only covered a wide range of fields, but also very, very detailed. A document on AI, on navigation system, as well as documents on even coconut and pandas. So it's really detailed.
Now, pandas are something that Malaysians really love from China's perspective. And if we're looking at the ASEAN region, then the bigger picture now, how is China working with its regional partners, including Malaysia, to build trust and kind of manage differences in opinion within the South China Sea?
I want to mention in a work conference, a central conference on neighboring country that China hosted last year. It's a conference of the political standing committee of the political bureau of CPC Central Committee. The top leaders of this country, of the party, really attend. So there was a central conference on work related to neighboring countries that happens last week in China. So China is taking its relationship with its neighboring countries as a top priority in its diplomacy. And also that marks the first broad trip for the Chinese president made. It's the three neighboring countries. You can tell how China has treasured its relationship with its neighbors, especially where sharing the same Asian values.
Definitely special also because it marks President Xi's first overseas visit for this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah. And also because a lot of the overseas trips that President Xi usually make are bilateral or multilateral occasions. But this time it's 3 bilateral occasions, so it's quite unique.
And having Malaysia as one of them just proves the long-standing relationship that the two countries have. And if we're looking ahead, how does China envision then the next, you spoke about 50 years, the next 50 years of its bilateral and economic relations with Malaysia, especially under the two countries' comprehensive strategic partnership?
Well, because both leaders of both sides mentioned about synergizing the strategic plans or partnering the strategic plans. I think that means more than just economic ties, because this time China has also vowed to strengthen security cooperation, other fields of cooperation, and also because our trade has been already very successful, given the critical juncture of the tariff situation over here. But in addition to that, the infrastructure cooperation of both sides have also really being benefited over the past decades or so. And then what's the next step? I think it's a more, in-depth practical fields of cooperation, including people-to-people bond, and that can really rely on heavily mutual trust between the two nations.
You're right to say the deepening people-to-people ties really seems to be a priority here. Well, thank you so much, Yunfei, for offering your insights and talking about President Xi's very extremely timely visit in light of the U.S. tariffs as well. I've been speaking to Zhao Yunfei from CGTN. We'll continue to bring you coverage on President Xi's visit to Malaysia, but for now, we'll head for a quick break. Stay tuned.